everything he does. Dan Beaver joins us. Hey, Dan, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great.
How's your fuel mileage? I know you're on the road.
Just pulled over, got some gas, sitting here staring off at the desert. So we'll see.
Well,
So,
Dan,
what are you doing
Dan,
out in
wait,
Arizona?
hold on a second. We gotta get this right. Dan Beaver just pulled off. Got some Shell nitrogen-rich gasoline to fill back up, and he's back on the road again. There, now you go.
Oh my God. What the hell are you doing out in Arizona when we're going to Kansas for a race? You should be out there when you're going to Phoenix.
I got lost, and it takes a while to get to Phoenix. So
all right.
this is home for me at the moment. Kind of unfortunately, but home at the moment it is.
Well, we'll have to get the details on that story at a later time since we only have about 10 minutes here tonight. Dan Beaver, of course, is a NASCAR fantasy racing expert for NASCAR.com and for YahooSports.com and joins us every couple weeks to share his expertise about fantasy racing and fantasy NASCAR in particular. Going to Kansas, we're presuming it's going to be a fuel economy run again. Dan, tell us who you think is going to be good and who you think maybe won't be so good at Kansas Speedway.
Well, I think the track and NASCAR and everybody has tried to throw us a curveball, but I'm not sure that they have. I suspect that the same guys who have been strong at Kansas all along are going to continue to be strong, despite the fact that the banking is a little bit different and the flavor of the month cookie progressive banking has been added. I think you're still looking at those 3 or 4 drivers who dominate there consistently to be dominating at the front. Mostly because they're the chasers, and they've been strong on the cookie-cutter tracks all season, and they've been strong during the chase. So I think you've already hit on one of them, Jimmy Johnson. I think he's got to be the favorite to win. He won this race last year. He won at Kansas in 2008, and he comes in with a 7-race top 10 streak, most of which have been top 5s. Over the course of his career, he's finished outside the top 15 only one time, and that was because of an accident back in 2004, I believe. And if I get my numbers wrong, I'm doing a lot of this out of the top of my head. So give me a little break if I get my numbers a little bit wrong.
Oh, that's okay. Your numbers are going to be way better than ours anyway, so don't worry. No worries there.
Who are guys that going to Kansas that you really kind of want to stay away from? Maybe somebody that might be in the chase but is not good at Kansas or hasn't been good at Kansas.
I'm not entirely sure that Clint Boyer has turned his cookie-cutter season around. He started out with a top 10 at Vegas. He's had top 10s in the last 2 races. But that center stretch is bad enough that it still makes me a little nervous. I think he would have gotten the top 10 last week regardless of whether or not he was stretching his fuel mileage, but he certainly wouldn't have gotten the win. And at certain points of the race, he wasn't particularly strong. He had the engine problem back in the spring, and that was just otherwise he's had some decent runs at Kansas, but it's still not his best track overall. I think I would avoid Clint Boyer.
That's too bad because he's a local guy. I mean, that's as close as it's going to get to him being at home.
He is, and he crossed the finish line first back several years ago, 2007, I think it was, when Greg Biffle either ran out of gas or just drove off the track for the heck of it, inside of the checkered flag.
I remember
so
that
he's
race.
Come that close to getting the victory once. It should be nice for him to get another one in front of the hometown crowd, but and he could do it. But I think he's iffy enough. There are enough question marks over his head that he makes me nervous.
Speaking of
another driver that makes me a little nervous is Brad Keselowski. I don't know if last week was the beginning of a chink in his armor, or it was a great recovery to get an 11th place finish after screwing up. I would avoid him for a week and wait and see if he rebounds. And if he does, he'll be back on my roster starting next week and at Texas and so on.
You spoke earlier about Greg Biffle. He has been in the past really good at this track and tracks like this. Is he a consideration, even though he's really not contending for the championship probably anymore?
Absolutely. His record is almost identical to Johnson's over the past 7 years. They both have 2 victories. They both have an equal number of top 5s and a streak of top 10s. He's by far the best B driver in the Yahoo game, and if you've been saving an allocation for him, this week and Homestead are the times to use it. Those are the 2 places he's going to be his best. In fact, I think Biffle and Johnson are going to be the 2 drivers who are challenging for the win if we don't get into a fuel mileage situation or something odd at the end of the race.
Who else do you like in the B drivers, Dan?
In B, I think Joe Logano's a good dark horse. He's had a couple of strong runs lately on the cookie cutter courses, and where I'm not sure that Boyer has turned his season around. I'm probably not any more sure that Logano has turned his season around, but there's a little less risk there because he's a differentiator. He's someone who's not going to be on a lot of rosters. If he hits, you're going to look really good. So Logano, I think, is my dark horse pick in Group B for the week.
Anybody down in the C class drivers that you think is in with a puncher's chance or anything like that? I mean, is Kurt Busch in C, for example?
No, Kurt Busch is still in B.
Is he B?
Okay. He
Okay.
probably should have been in C. Actually, I lobbied for it pretty hard at the beginning of the year, but I got outvoted. So he's still there, and Allmendinger's still in B. So you don't, and Smith is in B. So you don't have anybody who just is a great guy who's going to pop. What you do have is, if you've been managing your allocations effectively, this is the time to play Hornish. You're gonna start him every time you can over the last 5 weeks, and this is one of the tracks, Texas Homesteader tracks, where Hornish is going to be really important because they're mile-and-a-half tracks, horsepower tracks, handling tracks that Penske's so good at. If you don't, Trevor Bayne is here, and he's going to be your next best bet. Doesn't always do great on the cookie cutter tracks, but when he does, he's good for a 15th place finish, more or less, and that's going to extend your allocations for Hornish, Almirola, and those guys. So it's either Hornish or Bayne that would be my 2 top picks this week.
I know there have to be some fans out there that are screaming at the radio or their computer screen right now, saying, "Why aren't these guys saying anything about Denny Hamlin or Jeff Gordon?" What would be your comment to those lunatics?
Denny Hamlin has made so many mistakes in the chase. You just don't know when the next mistake's going to come.
Yeah,
running out of fuel at Chicagoland. If the entire field hadn't crashed at Talladega, he would have finished about 25th or 30th because he just was too far back out of the draft to get back towards the front. Those are mistakes that are hard to overcome. And at Kansas specifically, every other finish has been outside the top 10 over the past 6 races. Every other finish has been in the top 5, but he's too much of an unknown. That makes him too risky. Jeff Gordon could rebound. I think last week he was back up to his old antics, where the team misses the setup. He made a mistake in the pits, and then they finally get the car right. I'm just frustrated with Jeff Gordon, so it's kind of hard to pick him one way or the other. Mm-hmm. He had those streaks of top 3 finishes, but he hasn't had 4 consecutive top 10 finishes since last year's chase, or since before last year's chase. And he just lacks the consistency to be a good fantasy pick, because you never know when he's going to screw up.
Well, we got about a minute and a half to go. Is Kyle Busch a consideration? Do you look at Kyle at all for Kansas?
I normally avoid Busch on cookie cutter tracks, but that's made me look really stupid this year. He's got a streak of top 10s and an 11th place finish on the cookie cutters. Last 3 races, I believe, were 12th, 11th, and 10th at Kansas. I'm predicting he'll finish 9th this week.
Well, come on, Dan. Get specific.
Good job, Dan.
All right. Okay, so it's between Biffle and Johnson for you this week. If you got to pick one of them, who are you picking?
Johnson. But hopefully you can pick both of them in a salary cap game, or you can pick both of them in the Yahoo game. You don't have to choose.
There you go. Thanks, Dan. He's Dan Beaver, fantasy racing expert for yahoosports.com and NASCAR.com. Dan, thanks again for your time. Drive safely out there. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks when we get I think we'll be going to Martinsville then.
I love Martinsville. Talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guy.
Dan Beaver. And make sure if you are